So I think we'll begin, and yes, people can join Zoom as we go along. And welcome everybody to this week's Beth David Cooks, this month's Beth David Cooks. And we're really excited to have Monica Chacrun and guests to teach us about some Venezuelan cooking and about Jewish life in Venezuela and tell a little bit of her story. And so Monica is a teacher by day at B'nai Akiva. I think she just said, and it's already left my head. But a fabulous cook. And I connected to Monica because Monica's daughter, Daniela, who is filming tonight's episode, is a friend of my daughter Emma's. And I think Daniela made a repez at our house and brought over the ingredients, and that was amazing. And I'm hoping that we get to see them made by again tonight, and we're looking forward to other recipes. So Monica, if you want to unmute and go ahead, take it away.
Thank you so much, Adele. Thank you, Cora, and thank you to the Beth David congregation for inviting us tonight. This is a lovely program, and we're very excited, hoping that it all goes smooth and you find interest in what we're cooking tonight. I'm Monica, been in Venezuela, born in Venezuela, and I moved here, it's going to be 20 years ago. This is my cousin, Rebecca. Also moved from Venezuela more or less at the same time. Yeah. And my daughter Daniela is behind the camera, and she's helping us tonight. We want to share a little bit with all of you about the Venezuelan food, right? There are a lot of typical dishes in Venezuela, so we had to really pick and choose what we wanted to do tonight. So we narrowed down to the main dish that contains beef, beans, rice, and plantain. And the arepa that Adele mentioned before, it's our bread. And we'll talk about it when we get there. And dessert. The dessert is called Casijo. It's very, very typical, and it's so easy to make. It is dairy though, so we decided to do it like here first, get it out of the way, because the rest of the night is meat, right? So we're on the side, just doing our dairy part first. So let's get started. The recipes were already sent, so I hope you can see them. We're going to start with the 2 cans of condensed milk. We're going to add them. It all goes in the blender. It's such an easy dessert. It takes time to bake and cool down, but the process itself is really, really easy.
You can do it also with a whisk. You can do it with a mixer. It's not. It doesn't have to be specific in a blender, but it's just easier in a blender.
It's easier. Now, this recipe is Rebecca's recipe. She's the best quesillo maker that there is, and I don't know why she's letting me do this on my own. But
I was just keeping an eye on the caramel that we melted ahead of time. We usually use a special can called quesillera. It could be a cookie tin also. So basically what you do is you cover the tin from bottom and the sides. Usually what I do is I do it directly in the tin. We just did it in a pan to do the process faster for you guys. But the idea is to
yeah, so this was just pure sugar melted. About a cup of sugar that we had on the stove, and just let it melt. That's all.
So the quantity will also be related to the size of the tin. but basically the idea is to cover the sides and the bottom. It's a bit hot, so I cannot touch it.
That's why I brought gloves.
Yeah, so usually I do it directly on the stove and melt the sugar here and cover the sides, and can you see it? Cover the sides in the bottom. So and then we go to the mix.
Okay, so far we've added 2 cans of condensed milk. Then it's 2 cans of milk, but it's not like cans of milk. It's just the same can of condensed milk that now I measure the milk in. So we're gonna put the 2 cans, right? That's 1 and 2. Perfect. And now you add the eggs.
So we just incorporate all the ingredients in the blender.
How many
6
eggs?
6 eggs.
And then you put a vanilla extract. That's to taste. You can put how much or how little you like. Also, you can do the same mix if you wish. Instead of adding the 2 cans of milk, you can add 2 cans, the same size of cans of pineapple juice, coconut milk, any juice will work. Usually they do it, we do it in Venezuela, either coconut or pineapple, those are very popular.
You're very. So now I'm just gonna blend it.
It's just the idea of mixing all the ingredients. Sometimes the egg might create little, egg strings. If you want, you can put it through a colander, like a fine colander, so you don't have those extra pieces of egg. And you cover, it has to be covered to get the proper consistency. It has to be covered. And it will go in the oven for 1 hour in
At 350.
water bath.
Can you see the water?
There's water. So we will cover it for an hour in the oven. For an hour. We have made one ahead of time to show you guys how we serve it.
Dísele cuánto tiene que ser cool down.
So the idea is you to make it, let it cool outside, and when it's cool, put it in the fridge, preferably overnight, because it has to gain the consistency. So this one looks to be loose, which is okay. I don't know if you can see here, Daniela, that it's loose. But if it doesn't move like that, you just have to maybe
Go around with a knife
just to lose it. But the
Exactly.
caramel should be able to.
So now we're just going to unmold it.
And we're gonna pray for it to come properly.
So this was done yesterday, right?
Yes.
It spent the hour in the oven
Yes.
and then about an hour to cool down
probably
before
an
putting
hour.
it in the fridge, and then spend the night
It went overnight. That's the best.
overnight.
You do it
And
overnight.
then, yeah.
Oh,
This
One was
Looks
made with a bit of rum in the mix. You can add flavors to it. I usually do it with rum. You can do it with brandy. You can do it with amaretto, whatever flavor you want to add to it. That will be great too. But this is like the traditional one, the one that it's made with just like a little bit of rum in it.
Okay, so that was dessert.
There was one
my
question
goodness.
asking if the water bath has to be cold water or warm water.
Preferably warm, just to speed up the process, but it will get warm very quickly in the oven anyway.
Okay, so now we're going to invite you to the kitchen. We're gonna start with the main dish. It's called pabellón criollo. There's no translation for that. It's just a name. But criollo means typical. So it has 4 components to it. It has white rice, which
We made
I was like, it's just already made. It's plain white rice. So we're not gonna demonstrate the rice because everything else is very laborious. This dish takes hours in the making. So we have already sort of done a few steps ahead of time to be able to show you the complete product. But it's a dish that I will make for my family to show a lot of love. Because it's hours and hours.
And we're
and
so
hours
sorry we cannot offer you smell-o-vision tonight because it smells very good in here.
So the first step to make this dish would be to boil the meat. We use brisket, first cut, very, very lean. And you need to boil it for about 4 hours, just with a bay leaf. So that is one of the things that we already did ahead of time. You can also use a pressure cook, and it reduces the boiling time significantly. So it's about an hour and a half if you use a pressure cook. So this is my pressure cook, and I boiled my meat already. Yes, and we have
a small piece here to show you how it comes from the pressure cooker. There. So it will turn out like like this. I know it doesn't look too appealing, but it will be at the end of the night.
Now you need to keep all the liquid because we're going to use it in the preparation of the beans and the shredded beef. So bring the
That's just a lot
exactly. So
this is a technique from Monica. This is
so we need to shred the meat. That's also another part that takes a lot of time, and it's it's that family time that we spend together. So I found with the brisket, it's very friendly to be shredded. So I just hammer it a little bit, right, to soften it. And then you can see how it basically already shreds.
so like to make it easier to shred. Monica has developed a technique which includes the mallet.
Exactly. So now you can see that shredding, it's super, super easy, right? You just with your hands, or washed hands. So you shred it. And of course, we did a lot of this already ahead of time because even though it's fast,
At the end, it
looks
turn
like
into
this.
this. So basically it's shredded meat. You see that?
Perfect. So you boil the meat, you shred it, right? And now it's the time to do the saute. You can be doing the saute as the meat boils, right? It takes a little bit of time with all the chopping and sauteing.
As any Latin American food, it's called a sofrito. Many of you might have heard of this. Basically, it's peppers, bell peppers, and onions and garlic. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what this has. Now, when I posted the recipes, I posted how many onions and red peppers and garlic you need for the beef, and also posted separate for what you need for the beans, for the black beans. But what we've done here is all the onion, all the pepper, and the garlic we put together in one big pot, because that part is common for both the meat and the beans. So we've done this saute already, but that is for both the meat and the beans.
So we will separate it, take a little bit for the beef and a little bit for the beans.
Exactly. So now we're gonna take half of this, or even a little bit less of half for the beans. So what I do is in the pot where I boiled the meat, I keep half of the water inside, and I'm gonna add the beans onto that water.
Just to take advantage of the flavors of the meat that come into the stock.
Exactly. So we're gonna add the sofrito.
If you were going to do only the beans and you don't have the stock, it doesn't matter. You can use any stock or just open the can and just put the flavor in it.
So we have the beef stock
With the
and
sofrito.
part of the sofrito. I think that's good. Right? And we're gonna add the beans. Now, if you're gonna start with dry beans, you need to let them soak overnight, and you need to boil them until they're soft.
You can put them in the pressure cooker also.
Also,
So the process
but
is
they
faster.
take
But
about
then-
half an hour.
Thank God technology, we have canned beans and we're able to use them and they're done just to put a flavor on it.
Exactly. So here I opened 3 cans. This is 3 cans of black beans. So that makes it a lot easier.
And what you do is you open the can and you throw that not so good looking water that comes in it, because it's not that it's bad, but it's not so appealing. So you will kind of wash them, drain them, and if you want, you can even wash them a little bit and just put them in with the sofrito and
So as I mentioned before, this is a dish that takes hours and hours. So now that you can leave it at the front, right? So it would be easier for you. Okay. Yes. This way. Okay. So the beans, the beef stock, and the sofrito are there already in that pot, and we need to add the seasoning. So for the seasoning, we're going to use cumin, about a small spoon of cumin.
or to taste, if you like it with more cumin, just gives us a little bit of smoky flavor for the beans.
Exactly. We're gonna add a spoon also of chicken powder. Added, okay, let's add a little bit more. Salt and pepper to taste. I would leave the salt for last, right? When you taste it and you see that you really need it.
Also, because you use the chicken stock and the soup from the beef, it's good
Exactly.
to see how the salt will develop in the beans.
And we also use a spoon of sugar in the beans, right? Some Venezuelan people will completely disagree with this.
Yeah, this is a big discussion between Venezuelans, the sugar adding people and the non-sugar adding people. It goes depending on the region you are from.
So once you add the seasonings,
But we like sugar.
that needs to boil. Needs to boil for as long as you can. I typically leave it for at least 2-3 hours. If it gets too dry, I just keep adding a little bit more of the liquid. But now it's all set and it just needs to,
It's developing their own flavors.
exactly, layers of flavor.
Layers, yes.
So now we have the rest of the sofrito in this pan. And the sofrito differs from the beans to the meat by the tomato.
Yeah.
Because the beans will not contain tomatoes. So this is a little bit less than half a can of diced tomatoes. So we're gonna add that. And we're gonna let it.
To give also a little bit of color, like give them a little more reddish color, that doesn't be so gray as it comes from the boiler. So
Exactly. So you need to cook that tomato a little bit, right? Let it cook. I mean, this is also going to be cooking for a long time. So you can also just add the meat because anyways,
Yeah,
it's going to be cooking.
the idea is for the flavors to melt while developing their own sauce, kind of thing. The meat will suction all the flavors from the onion, from the peppers, from the tomatoes.
So with that idea, I like to put my seasonings here first so that it really mixes well, and then the meat can like take all the flavors from the sofrito. So what are we gonna add? So again, let me remind you, there's onion, red pepper, garlic, and now the tomato. You can also use fresh tomato. I'm just here sort of showing you all the hacks that we use. This is already at very, very late.
And there's plenty of varieties. Some people don't even put tomatoes. It's
True.
It's different recipes, but the main thing is the sofrito, the condiments, and the shredded meat. So a lot of people use the tomato just to give them color, or that's the recipe of the family. So basically, it's a basic recipe, and people might add on to it or remove from it. But the onion, garlic, and peppers, they must be there.
They have to be there,
Yeah.
right? Now, some people after sauteing, they blend it. If you don't want to find like the pieces of onions and peppers, right? We like to just small dice it and keep it that way.
There's also when there's a lot of leftovers, some Venezuelans with their arepas, they might refry the beef or refry the beans, which make them even yummier.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna season the sofrito. I'm gonna add 1 bay leaf. I'm gonna add a spoonful of the chicken powder. Oops. Again, salt and pepper. Just be careful with the salt, right?
It's the taste. It
It's
depends which
yes.
chicken powder you use. It depends on your own level of saltiness in your food. So it's just to taste, I guess.
Exactly. As Rebecca mentioned before, right? We all have like different seasonings for the meat. It goes
Personal touch.
Yeah, personal touch. I like to add a little bit of hot paprika to give it a little bit of spice.
But again, it goes on your level of taste of heatness. If you don't like it hot or you don't like it too spicy, it will come a good product without it.
Okay, we have a couple of questions. First question is, would this be a dish for a special occasion?
Well, it's the national dish. It's an from the heart dish. They might not use it for a wedding or for a bar mitzvah, but it is a dish that families get together to eat. And they can even use it for special occasion breakfast. They add arepas and they make eggs and they add it together, and it's like a special occasion breakfast. But it's not used like for a party. It's just like a very traditional,
exactly,
homey thing, I will say.
Yes, it's on a special occasion just because how much work it takes to make it, but it's not for a holiday or a party.
No, exactly. It's not used that way. But for us that are away, it might be used for that special occasion. Just because what you're saying, it's because it takes time. And it takes you back home when you need
exactly. We, for example, every time we're celebrating another year of having moved to Canada, we celebrate by eating pabellon.
Just to remember back home.
Exactly.
Okay. The second question is, for someone that doesn't use the chicken stock powder, is there a substitute that you can use?
Yeah, I would say yes, because it's not necessary to use it because the stock already brings the flavor. It's just that some people are used to use, you can use vegetable stock or beef stock or whatever you use to season your stock. But it's not necessarily to be there. To be honest, if you season it well with salt, pepper, cumin, the bay leaf, and the soup, I think the beef has its own flavor.
So the chicken powder is an enhancer of the flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not necessary.
And it's Monica's touch too.
Exactly.
So when we
more questions? We're good.
We want to.
So so I added all the spices already. Okay, so now we're gonna add the meat. We
have a lot. I think that's a lot of meat.
I'm not sure. So in the recipe, it calls for about 2 pounds of brisket. This was a little bit over the 2 pounds. It was almost 2.5 pounds. So it might be a little too much.
2 Venezuelan pounds.
So we're gonna add it. Sorry. Oh, good.
What's a good meal without making a little bit of a mess, right?
Yeah. It doesn't taste the same without it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So to be able to mix it better, it's a good idea to add now the beef stock. Wait, I have another one. So just bring it here. This is still from the same water that we boiled the meat in, right? So I just kept it all aside to be able to have enough. Perfect. To add. So adding the water will make it easier.
Yeah, the soup
to
or the
mix together.
consomme is like the binder for the sofrito and the meat to mingle together and get acquainted in the pan.
And as with the beans, this needs, like, the more you cook, the more it develops its flavor. So if it gets too dry, like the amount of water you see now, it's more than it should have at the end when it's fully done. But as you cook, if it starts to dry, just keep adding water. You can add plain water too.
Yeah.
I like, if I have the stock, I'll add the stock.
Yeah, it's more flavorful. And it's also depend on taste. No? There's people who do it a bit drier. There's people who do it more saucy. So it will depends on taste.
Almost made the same disaster twice. So yeah, so that it's a little bit of a quick show of how it's made, but just keep in mind all the work that was already behind, cutting all your vegetables, shredding all that meat. Rebecca's mom was today here and she helped me shred that meat, and we still spent about an hour doing that together.
Considering that Monica technique was very good with the mallet.
Oh yes, it is very, very helpful. So the meat and the beans will have to, just cook,
Sweat their way out.
but we have a lot more to still show you, so we can let it just keep cooking and go ahead with the next step that we want to teach today. I'm gonna turn it off for now. I would think so. So what we want to teach you today is how to make the arepa. Arepa is our bread. It is made with cornmeal, but it's not just any cornmeal, it's pre-cooked. And this you find at Loblaws, at No Frills.
These days you can find it basically anywhere.
Yes,
impressive.
so many places that you can find it. The beauty of this is, well, first of all, it's kosher. It's parf. It's gluten-free. And it pairs really, really well with meat and with dairy. So you can use it for both. And it makes a nice breakfast. It makes a nice dinner. It makes
there's so many things you can do with it
to
also.
eat with your meal. This is a real staple for us. And the dough is very, very simple. You do need to get this. You need to buy the harina pan.
It's a
but as I
Venezuelan
said,
company.
I buy it in the superstore on Daphne and
Fresco and No
Steele.
Frills.
But I've seen it in many, many, many supermarkets throughout the city.
Yes.
So to make the arepa, should we make it here maybe?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna use, so the proportion is a cup of the cornmeal for a cup and a quarter of the liquid. So if you're gonna double, if you're gonna use 1 jar of the cornmeal, then use a jar and a quarter of.
The package called for 2.5 cups times, was it 2 cups of dough to 2.5 of
Exactly.
water. So basically the proportion will be 1 to 1/4.
You can see it's like a white, like it's
It's like
thinner than
cornmeal.
flour.
Like cornmeal,
Exactly.
but this is pre-cooked.
Exactly. So we have a cup of the
It should
cornmeal.
be warm water, but I think
It's fine.
It will work.
It's fine. You do put a little drop of oil. And
Again, as any other Venezuelan product, each family or person have their own touch. I don't put oil, but it works well with it.
exactly.
There's some
Just
people even put milk in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Never done, because then it's not part anymore.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a little bit, pinch of salt. That's more than a pinch.
Yes. That's a Venezuelan pinch.
Okay. And we're gonna add the water. You can add all the water at once, or you can just be
Mix it a little bit.
be
with your
mixing a
hands.
little bit. When you mix it, if
It might create
if you
some
see
crumbs, like
lumps, right? They're easy to dissolve as you mix it.
And it will look watery at the beginning, but
It does absorb
Yeah.
all the water.
you can let it stand for a little bit. And
The
when you
best
come
thing
back,
is to let it stand while we put the oil, right, to warm up. The arepas can be fried or can be done on a pan or can be grilled. So of course, the most delicious version is the fried one. But you know, if you want it a little bit healthier, then don't fry it, just on a pan.
at
with
my house,
very
we do
tiny-
arepas every weekend because my son asks for arepas every weekend. My son is Canadian, born here. I think he went to Venezuela once, but he eats arepa every week.
Mm.
So, and I have, the way I do it, I have a skillet, like a long, big, that you put on top of your kitchen, and you do like 8 at the same time, like a griddle, exactly. A griddle to put on top of your kitchen, and I put 8 at a time because those
Exactly.
go fast.
So we're going to demonstrate both fried and on a pan, so that you can see the difference between the two of them.
What oil do you use for frying?
You can use any vegetable oil. I like to use corn or
Canola or vegetable soya oil. Any
Exactly.
oil will work.
Any oil can work.
Preferably, it's
I
an
like
oil-
sunflower or corn.
Just
better.
avoid oils that give you extra flavors. It's just to get a neutral, so the arepa
Exactly.
stays neutral.
So on this pan, we're gonna do just without frying.
It's not a fried. it's
Exactly,
like-
but here we're gonna fry, so just add oil.
this is the style I do every Sunday, which I put on my griddle and make 8 at the same time. But we're gonna, because that's the one my kids likes better, and I don't like frying. But also we were celebrating oil, so we needed to fry something.
Exactly, so we wanted to bring the Hanukkah theme.
So we're frying our arepas tonight.
So we're frying arepas, and we're gonna be frying also plantain that goes with the main dish.
I know they look pretty ugly, but that's the only way we can have sweet plantains in Canada. We have to buy them when they're green and beautiful,
They
and
turn
wait till they
yellow.
turn into this.
No, they turn yellow, and then and so you would think that you would throw them when they're like this. No, this is when they're perfect.
It's perfect for sweet plantains.
Exactly. I even squish them a little bit to make sure that the sugars are released.
If you haven't had plantain before, it's an extremely healthy vegetable. I don't know if it's a vegetable, but fruit
It's
or whatever.
very similar to the,
Bananas, basically. So it's a lot of
it's a type
potassium.
of banana.
Yeah, they're very healthy, and many people don't know about them here in Canada. So give it a try. You can eat them green too. They're very good green.
Exactly.
Another
There's-
question that was asked was the pabellón criollo. How many people does that feed for the recipe that you've provided?
What I'm seeing, maybe the whole school.
This can be for easily eight to 10 people, easily.
Depend on
Yes,
how you like it.
exactly. And we love to have leftovers because we then use that as a filling for the
For the
arepa,
arepas.
which we're going to show you today.
As I told you, for that special breakfast with shredded meat and plantains and the caraotas, which are the big black beans, and we put everything inside the arepa.
Everything. So while the pots are warming up, I'm just going to show you how you cut the plantain, right? So the plantain is a type of banana. Again, you can put it in the oven. I've put it in the air fryer too. They come out really nicely. But in the Hanukkah theme and the spirit of frying, we're going to fry it. It's obviously the most delicious version of plantain.
There's many ways of actually cooking plantains. You can put them in sugar and cinnamon. You can put them fried. You can put them in the oven with cheese.
So I'm
There's so many
just
ways.
gonna peel the skin off, right? Just like a banana. And I'm gonna show you how you slice it. Because we turn on the oil for the arepa and we need to fry plantain too, then it would be best to, have both going on together. So you peel it, right? Can you see?
Yep.
Wait, can you see my disaster there too? I don't want
No.
that. Okay. So what you can do is you can cut it in half and just slice it a little bit at an angle.
Traditionally, it's cut that way, sideways,
Exactly. So this is the thickness
that you're looking for.
that you're looking for.
Because they're not nice if they're raw, so they need to be cooked properly
Exactly. So
and evenly.
So you slice them.
They're not like bananas if they're raw. They don't taste good. Raw.
No.
No.
Even though my sister Floretta there, she likes it raw. We're not a fan of that.
No.
Only her. So you make the slices. Done. And we're gonna fry that, and we're gonna fry the arepas. So that you can see how it comes out. I take that and I take this. See? Yes. So on this pan, I did add a little bit of oil so that it won't stick to the pan. But we're not frying, right? I'm actually gonna take the excess out. You just want it to have, a little bit not to stick. Now, look at the arepa dough. It has hardened already, right? This is the right consistency for it so that you can shape it. Not too dry, not too soft, that's absolutely true. Actually,
you don't
this
want
one
hard.
This one is a little bit dry, soft. I'm gonna add a little bit more of the cornmeal.
So this is the plantains mingling in the oil. Our tribute to Hanukkah, Venezuelan style.
So for Hanukkah in Venezuela, what we always used to do, sucaniot and latkes,
Donuts,
very
latkes.
popular, right? We don't have anything that is specific Venezuelan for Hanukkah, but we always follow the tradition of frying latkes and sucaniot and donuts. We used to do a lot. We're going to be talking also a little bit about our Jewish community back in Venezuela. But let's get this going. So you make a little.
What's very important with the plantain is you cannot turn away. You need to watch them. And the minute you turn away, they will get burned. So it's a very delicate because there's a lot of sugar going on here. So they might get, you need to keep a real close eye on them.
Okay. So while the plantain is frying, you make a little bit of a ball with your hands, right, with the dough. And then you're just gonna flatten it. It will look like a pita, a little bit, right? So it's ready, you put it on the pan. We don't like them thick, right? If you would go to a typical Venezuelan restaurant, they would probably be like this thick, but we don't like it to be so doughy inside.
It also
So,
depends on the region of Venezuela
I
you
just
have
do-
them too.
Yeah, I just do about 1/4 of an inch thick
Yeah, okay.
to let it cook well inside and just form a crunchy crust on the outside. So we need to cook both sides. It's about 2 to 3 minutes per side.
Usually when it's done on one side, it will separate itself from the pan, like it will not be stuck. You can use like a fork or whatever to
Exactly.
turn it. And if it releases from the pan easily, it's because it's basically done. You can always
Turn it
to
back
taste again. If you want it more crispier, you can even go back again to do it at your pleasure. Some regions in Venezuela do make them very big, some make them smaller, some make them thicker. It's just about the way each region accustomed to use them.
Exactly.
I do them bigger than Monica, but thin. I like them thin. Some people also make them thick so they can open and remove the mushy dough from the inside and probably eat it with a little bit of butter or whatever, some cheese. That's yeah, exactly. So you can empty it and put the filling inside.
Okay, when we take out the plantain, we use absorbent paper
Yeah,
to
just
take
to
the
take the
excess
excess.
of the oil out.
I know we're celebrating oil today, but we don't like to eat a lot of oil. So that's why we put them in a paper.
So in the meantime, I'm just forming more arepas to fry them, so you can see the difference, how it comes out when it's fried or when it's on the pan. Now this dough is also used for empanadas.
The same dough.
It's not the same as the Mexican empanada or any other Latin American empanada.
Maybe
Each of the
Colombian.
countries have their own. So what I do to make the empanada, I make this disc of dough way thinner, way thinner. And I put the filling in the middle and just
close it
fold
like a
it
half
in
moon.
two.
Half moon.
So that
And you can
so
fill it
then
with
the
anything.
filling is inside again, because this is part. You can fill it in with meat, right? Or
And it's pretty neutral in flavor
Cheese.
too. It's delicious, but it's neutral. So whatever you put in will taste good. It could be cheddar cheese. It could be even Latin American cheese. It could be beef, or even one of the Venezuelan staples is the black bean with cheese, which is very yummy.
yes,
So anything you can put in there.
exactly.
There's
So-
even a pabellon arepa. We have all the ingredients
All
of
the
the pabellon
ingredients
in an
inside.
arepa.
Inside. So do you have any room for me there, Rebecca?
Maybe.
No, not yet. Okay,
Vamos
so
bien, vamos bien. You want
um,
me to make some space for you here?
okay, so wait, no, not yet. this is starting to look,
This is
this
the
one
one,
is
yeah.
starting to look
Esta
the
también.
color
perfecto.
that it
Ese
needs
one.
to be. I'm just gonna give her enough time. I don't want to rush, Rebecca, so that you get to see the plantain when it's really ready to be taken out.
And by the moment they turn like caramel color, they're almost done. Again, don't turn around in that moment because they will turn black. So just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on this.
Okay, then just keep showing the plantain.
Sorry. They're alive. So basically, it's kind of this way. You can a little bit more if you want to. It also depends on taste of everything. But
Okay, so I've turned around this arepa. Look how it has formed a crust already.
you can like it that way. You can make it a bit darker if you want. It depends on each person's
Exactly.
taste.
I like it really crusty.
Me too.
Exactly. So now that Rebecca's made a little bit of space there for me, I'm gonna put this other arepa to fry.
And be very careful. Again, being arepas, though so versatile and very neutral, there's also sweet arepas. We can put sugar and brown sugar in them and fry them. They use them a lot in Venezuela. You can put any seasoning to the dough. There's people who put like like the sofrito in the dough and make arepas with flavor just to be eaten without a filling. They use them a lot. You were asking before about the parties. They use them also, little ones. They make little arepitas with cheese inside to give us an hors d'oeuvre in some events. So yeah, they're very popular and a staple in Venezuela.
Someone just asked a question that with the amount of dough that you made, about how many arepas?
With a cup?
With that, you can make
4 or 6.
five arepas.
Depends on the size you make, it will be 5 or 6.
Yeah. Anywhere between, so a cup of the dough, of the dry cornmeal will make about 5 arepas this size.
Exactly.
Now, in our house, Daniela, my daughter, is a witness of that. We love the for Sunday breakfast. And Daniela, you tell them, how do you like the arepas?
Well, when you make them really little and bite size, they get really crispy, and just eating them straight up with cheese is absolutely delicious.
And even though they have a neutral taste, they're very tasty on their own. So you don't have to do much to make them taste good.
Exactly. I would eat arepas alone every single night.
In Venezuela, they use it to like a side bread, let's say for a soup or next to a pabellon or next to any meal, actually.
Exactly. And again, it's gluten-free. So it really pairs well with all the food. Oh, yes. What about your friends that like arepas?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love to do is to make arepas for all of my friends. I have introduced them all to arepas, especially with cheese, and they all love it. I know that Adele can attest to that. I made them in her house once. I made them for Emma, had them countless times. So it's very popular. What kind of cheese?
What was the cheese?
Any cheese will work.
Any cheese works, but my favorite is like a fresh white cheese.
Mozzarella, for example. Mozzarella goes really well with.
Yeah, or like there's like farmers' cheeses that are almost like a feta. That works really well. It's really up to what your taste is. Some people like saltier cheeses with their arepas. Some people like more neutral cheese.
Yeah, so in Venezuela, we use both like mozzarella kind of cheese that melts really well, or
fresh cheese,
or yellow, like processed cheese.
To be honest, any cheese will work.
Yes,
any cheese will work.
Melts right when
anything that melts
put it in.
will be amazing.
Exactly, and it's just great breakfast, great dinner. We love arepas in every single
And
way.
arepas has become very popular because we have a huge emigration right now, the last few years. And it has become a very popular staple in every city in the world. There's places you can find that product, the harina pan, which is a Venezuelan product, in the weirdest places of the world that you would never imagine to find it.
Exactly.
They're there. It's impressive. In
Exactly.
Norway, and
So I know
everywhere.
we're sort of getting close to the hour. So we wanted also to talk a little bit about the Jewish community in Venezuela. Right now it's a very small community, has gone down due to the security in the country,
And the political
and
situation.
the political situation, economical situation. But Rebecca can tell you about the origins of the community and how it's going.
Well, in a nutshell, because we don't have so much time to get deep into it, the Venezuelan community started with the colonization of the country. Many Sephardics came from Spain, together with the people who built the country, and after, also with the Inquisition, to Venezuela to look a better future. They were part of the development of the Venezuelan country itself. There were politicians, there were people who founded our liberator quest for getting separated from Spain. So there were Jewish people everywhere in Venezuelan history. After that, post-war, influence came from Europe, from people who were leaving the war or the Holocaust, and they also settled Venezuela and became as Venezuelan as everybody else. So after that, there were a lot of conversations between the Sephardi. We were there many years before, and the Sephardic specialized community that came after, and together they built the community itself. So today we have a school. Today we have two main communities, the Ashkenaz and the Sephardi, that work together to sustain the JCC, to sustain the school, to be able to even talk at government levels in representation of our community. And
it's a very united community.
And well organized.
It's a very, very well organized community, especially now in these tough times. They've united closely together even more. The community at its top was about 25,000 people. I'm talking.
There were 6,000 families.
6,000 families. I'm talking in the 1990s. We were about 25,000 people. That sounded like 1 million people.
And it sounded because people from Jewish descent were involved in everything in Venezuela. We were so few people comparing to other communities, but we were in politics, we were in medicine, we were everything, in all aspects of Venezuelan life. There was somebody in some time who was a Jewish person.
Exactly. Unfortunately, now the community has reduced to less than 4,000 people, but still very strong, very united, and doing their best to still thrive in a hostile environment. But I must say, not anti-Semitic. We did not see anti-Semitism in Venezuela until very, very, very recent.
And most of people didn't leave because of anti-Semitism. You have to clarify that. Most of people left because the whole country was a threat for everybody.
Exactly.
Because the economy was a mess, because it was dangerous to be on the street, not for Jewish, for anybody.
Exactly. So just quickly,
let's come back to here.
Just one question that Cora has. Where did a lot of the community move to? Miami mostly?
Miami mostly. There's
but
a big percentage. The next biggest one will be in Israel.
Yeah.
then just spread around the
And-
rest of the states in
We
Canada.
can talk about Canada. The growth of the Venezuelan Jewish community is impressive. There's people everywhere now in Montreal, here in
It's
Vancouver,
true.
everywhere. It's true. Everywhere.
So this arepa is ready. This is the one that was just pan fried. You can see the crust, right? So this one is ready to go. I can see that the other one is also
almost ready. Yeah.
getting ready. So while that one is ready, I just want to show you how we fill it, how we cut it, how we fill it.
And again, if it was like a little thicker, when you open it, there's a little dough inside that you can take out
If you don't like so much. So you just grab the arepa and you're gonna cut it in half, just like this. Exactly, so that it opens.
Be careful because it's very
It's
hot.
very
inside.
hot.
You can see the steam coming
You
out.
can
Yeah.
see the steam. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a pouch.
Right?
Exactly.
And what you would do, let's say, for example, I want to eat it with meat. So that you would put the filling, try not to use the liquid, squish out the liquid,
the filling is the sky is the limit. You can put anything. in there.
eggs, meat, beans.
Yeah.
So you would put it like this, right? And just close it.
And
This
voila.
is the most delicious bite that you'll have. And exact same way you would fill the fried arepa.
Just you have to go through the paper situation just because the extra oil and probably wait a little
Exactly.
bit so you don't get
Just
burned.
take it out
So you don't get burned.
here.
But it's the same.
Look at this crispy deliciousness. This one is delicious. This one
Also delicious.
also
Yeah.
probably even more.
This is a delicious without guilt, and this is a delicious with guilt.
Exactly. Look at the difference, right? But this one you'll cut exact same way,
And you can fill it with the signs.
or just eat it on its own. We don't even need a filling for these arepas.
I was just going to ask if you have leftovers, can you freeze them? But I imagine you never have leftovers. So
That it's very rare.
But you
But I
fill it.
have to say, when I make the arepas, if I make too much dough, I just put it in a Ziploc bag in the fridge, and it's good for almost a week in the fridge. So it's a good idea because sometimes you don't want to be doing the whole dough from scratch. So just make a good batch and just put in a Ziploc bag. I have a friend that even forms like the balls for the week. She wants to have one arepa every morning. So she forms 7 balls, right? Put them all in a Ziploc bag in the
But
fridge
when the
and
dough
take
is,
one at a day.
but when the dough is cold, it's hard to, it might crumble when you try to. So it's good to take it out
Yes.
a little bit before, so it gets into room temperature. Because if not, the dough could crumble on your hands when you're trying to make the arepa itself.
And the other thing is that they're talking about refrigerating the dough, because if you actually make the arepa and cook it, it does not stay very well. This is
The
best eaten
crispiness
fresh.
will go.
The texture will change, so it's best eaten fresh.
It does
Sweet and
change the
fresh.
textures from the inside. It won't be as steamy and creamy in the inside. It will be more
Crumbly.
like a polenta thing, more. But what I do at home when I have leftover, which is not so often, but I don't like throwing leftover arepas away. So for the next day, what I do is I put them underneath the water. I just run a little bit of water, or either put them in the toaster or in the oven, just to regain the crispiness of the outside. Of course, they're not fresh made arepas, but at least they are
Exactly.
arepas, and I'm not throwing them away.
Exactly. Are there any more questions? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, obviously, again, the beans and the meat could keep going on and on, cooking, developing the flavors. But I wanna show you the final product. How does it look when we serve pabellon? I wish you could all come and just taste it, but you're more than welcome to just come by. So I'm gonna serve a plate to show you how it's served. So you start with the white rice in one corner. Okay. Then let's leave that for you. We're gonna put a spoonful of the meat. Look how it's been cooking.
And while it cooks, it will gain color, right? As it keep cooking. It could turn a bit darker, which it makes it more appealing to the eye too.
You put the meat. Okay. Now the beans and the fried plantain. Voila. This is
And
the
then
pabellón
you
criollo.
can
The beans should have been a little bit more
Drier.
dry, right? We should keep cooking so that it doesn't have that liquid. But this is how a pabellón criollo looks. And in my case, I like to mix these three together, like just make a big.
That's really what I do is I put a little bit more sugar on the beans and some hot sauce.
Yeah.
You can eat it also with regular bread, but arepa is the best
The
choice.
arepa will go really well with it. Yeah, this is our dish today.
I hope to find out if any of you dare to make it and how did
Please
you
let
like
us
it
know.
and how did you like it?
It looks delicious.
Please
Looks
let us
amazing.
know. This
Oh,
is
I wish you can
pabellón.
smell it.
Wow.
So
Thank you.
if you have any questions, please feel free. The recipes were sent already, so they're posted. You can see the exact amounts of each ingredient. Right, Rebecca and I are really bad at measuring.
Yes.
But it's been done so many times that
We did our best to
Yes, we
better
did.
explain so you can follow the instructions. The Casijo, the creme caramel that's the instructions. So if you follow it, you will get it. And just keep multiplying as you need.
exactly.
Oh, that looks amazing. It looks so delicious. Does anybody have any other questions about the recipes or about?
Maybe let's just turn it around and we can see them.
Yeah. Looks so good.
No.
Hello, there we go.
We're here.
Nice.
Now we can see you.
Somebody wanted to know, is the dessert like a creme caramel?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's a Venezuelan traditional creme caramel.
Nice. And I wanted to know, because you said the Ashkenazi and the Sephardi communities were very united. Do you find that the recipes and things overlapped, or did everybody just sort of have traditional Venezuelan recipes? Or
I would say people
It's
will,
a good mix
Yeah,
of everything.
yes. Okay.
Everything.
everybody keeps their own traditions in general, like family-wise, but introducing the Venezuelan twist into everything.
It's very much
Yeah.
incorporated
Yes.
into the daily meals.
Yeah.
But both communities basically cook what the Ashkenaz and the Sepharad, because it's such a united community.
And you can see that in
the school is only one. We all went to the same school. We all learned together, and there was no separation whatsoever between Ashkenaz. Just the shuls, because everyone likes
everybody
to
has
pray
their
their
own
own way, but it's because of the style of praying more than anything else.
But there is a well-organized community where resources are allocated from both ends to benefit the school, the JCC, or any other programs that they're run together. Let's say it that way. So the resources are
Put together.
put together. Yeah.
Nice. There's a question about condensed milk. Can you imagine a non-dairy? I don't know where you'd go with that. Maybe, I don't know if coconut milk works or.
People, when you want to make this dessert part, people would use just sugar.
Yeah.
No, because
Any
no other
substitute.
milk have the texture or the sweetness exactly
Well, there
that
are
it's
versions.
required.
There are many versions of parve situation, but it's not the quesillo. There's
And
some
then it's
that are
not quesillo
similar.
anymore.
They're similar, but not quesillo anymore. Exactly.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's a dairy dessert.
It looks so amazing. So I want to thank Monica and family for all your demonstrations. Sorry, and I can't tell if I want to thank you guys so much for teaching us and for cooking for us. And we look forward to being in person one day and enjoying meals together. So thank you.
Definitely.
Bezrat Hashem, we would love to share with everybody.
Oh, I like that hint. There's coconut condensed milk. I
Oh.
don't know that one. I would love to find it to try it.
We will try it.
Yeah, definitely. Never heard of it, and it would be great to know.
Exactly. And if you have, any questions, please send that our way. We'll be very happy to help. When we made our menu for today, we wanted to make a little bit more of a Sunday brunch. But we thought this main dish is so representative that we wanted to share it with all of you. But there's so many more items.
Oh, there's so many yummy things. But I think this dish is kind of from the heart and represent the melting pot of what Venezuela is. And I think that brings Venezuela to you guys. That the real Venezuela.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're still getting questions on condensed milk. Is it sweetened condensed milk?
Yes, sweetened condensed. Yes,
it is.
It is sweetened condensed and milk or any juice you prefer, or coconut milk.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll do more cooking in the winter. Who knows? Maybe we'll bring the Chakran family back for some more recipes.
We would be delighted to join you again.
It
was such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. We really appreciate
and thank
you welcoming us.
And thank you for the opportunity to showcase our country.
Thank you for teaching us. Lovely, lovely. And I love the new Hanukkah recipes. I'm definitely going to go get some plantains to try.
Oh, the plantains
they're good.
Something to try, but be patient. You need to let them
if you need them for Hanukkah,
I bought these plantains almost a month ago.
Wow.
And put them on my counter for almost a month until they were ripe enough.
So in Canada, we need to do a lot of planning to do this.
It was really planned.
Yes. I bet when you first came here 20 years ago, must have been harder to get the products that you wanted. Yeah.
They were here.
They were here.
It wasn't as common as now, but they were here already. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. That's great. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night. You're welcome to hang out a bit if you want to chat, but otherwise keep an eye out for our next cooking shows. And thank you for joining in. And Chag Sameach soon.
Chag Sameach to everybody.
Bye-bye.